So this is Mark Levin, is obviously very concerned about the Obama presidency. I mean, we've dealt with this a bunch of times, but have any of you, does anybody have a calendar? Does anybody know what time it is? I'm going to break into 70s love songs. Hey, I'm on steroids for a week. Will I get to look and sound like this dude? Yes, Pauline, you will. You're gonna end up. Everybody ends up like Bongino if they're on steroids for very long. This is Mark Levin. Obama's Marxist messaging.
Barack Obama tweets.
Oh my God. Well, it's one thing he can do, and you can't and Trump can't anymore, so it pisses you off.
A really incendiary message.
Uh-oh. Obama tweeted something incendiary, guys. By the way, John Heilman has Motang sticker in the background on Lawrence O'Donnell. he has a Wu-Tang sticker. And thank you, Franken Smithberry and Francie, by the way, and for the super chats, you guys. And thank you on Facebook for the stars, guys.
It's with a broad racist brush, even before he has all the facts.
Yeah, that's what he does. He paints with a broad racist brush. The mixed race president paints with a broad racist brush. I'm sorry, asshole with Trump cookie jar says what?
These politicians think they need to be out front, that they need to comment before they know anything.
He's former president, and he kind of does know.
Because they're playing to the mob, they're playing to the audience. It's really shocking.
Really? Because, Mark, so you're telling me that anybody who, like yourself, just makes a video about something and talks out of their ass and doesn't recognize that, like, unlike my show, where I'm looking at your shit for the first time and basically showing how easy it is to, with a quick Google search or a recall of an event, call bullshit on your nonsense.
This is a former president of the United States.
Oh, he is? When did that happen? I mean, if you're born in Kenya, you can't be president.
And he tweeted out yesterday,
Mr. Producer, our hearts are heavy over yet another shooting of a black man, Duante Wright, at the hands of police. It's important to conduct a full and transparent investigation. What a friggin' commie. Who does this asshole think he is? Bongino? But this is also a reminder of just how badly we need to reimagine policing and public safety in this country. Yeah, absolutely. I would argue that one of the ways you could do it is not make tasers the same shape and feel as a gun. I'm just reimagining that right now. As a matter of fact, hold on one second. Can I show you guys something? Here you go. This is available on Amazon right there. Taser Strike Light Rechargeable Self-Defense Flashlight Stun Baton. Shoots tasers and you hold it like a flashlight. This is not uncommon. There are multiple variants of them. This is, the handheld versions are also a part of them. The ones that they use as, that shoot, the yellow ones like you've seen that look like this, right here. These guys also have a hand taser thing. You'll often see that they fire them, but then they can also drive the charge into them. But there's a bunch of these that are flashlight shaped. The hand ones are a big mistake. Don't expect cops to be carrying those anytime soon. Because they don't do you any good against a knife-wielding suspect, and that's the majority of the time when they are used. This is closer to the firing kind that they have. But then you also have, see this? It's a stun gun flashlight. That's what you do. You want to reimagine it? You want to solve the actual fucking problem? You want to look at what happened with her and go, how do we fix this shit from ever happening again? If indeed this was a mistake, which I believe it was, then how do you solve it? What is the trick? Well, one of the tricks, and the way you would reimagine this, and you would fund police to do this, is that you don't have a stun baton And by the way, you don't have a stun gun that's shaped like a gun. You have a stun baton with a flashlight on it, and you do that with your gun when you're walking through something, and you know that your first thing is the left hand. Then, if you have to, you fire in the same circumstance because you fired it out of here. You're watching where you go. This is here. Look at me. Look at me. Reimagining. And it's, I mean, obviously, this is a bunch of, communist takeover of our Marxist ideas or whatever. It's just how badly we need to reimagine policing and public safety in this country. Notice the public safety part of it. By the way, I can't be the only person. Hold on. Now I've got to show you this too. Jesus, this is going to be a long show. I can just tell. Let's see. You probably saw this in, the New York Post had an article about it, but a bunch of people did too. Weep. Hold on. Whoops, quit it. Done. Quit it. The New York police have a robot dog, this little guy, that they were walking around. Which, by the way, get used to this idea. Because if you want community safety and all these kind of things, one of the things that you fix it by is sending a thing like this into a room or an unsafe circumstance with a 360 camera on it. It's going to cost you more in taxpayer dollars, but you're going to have fewer dead citizens and you're going to have fewer dead cops. They're going to walk those things in, and they're going to use those, if they have a suspect held up in something, they're going to walk that thing into the room, and if the suspect opens fire on that thing, it's not going to take a life. Again, nobody has a flag draped coffin for a robot sentry dog. Those robots have guns now. They're not firing guns. They have bean bags. They have 40 millimeter bean bags.
Our hearts are heavy over yet another shooting of a black man.
Which is the part that I would guess Mark Levin has the most problem with.
Dante Wright, at the hands of police. Now just think about that sentence.
Okay, I'm thinking about it. Our hearts are heavy about, So, it turns out he was unarmed. He fled the police. He didn't have to die. His warrant was for something that more than likely could have just been incarcerated. We don't need capital punishment for those kind of offenses. As a society, we don't need capital punishment, period, much less for shit like that. And it was an accident.
Another shooting of a black man at the hands.
Yes. He's black and he was shot. And the officer was white. And however the details come out, the impact that it has on people hearing that, for better or not, is in line with the other stuff that's going on. We've talked about this with Bongino.
Hands of police. If that's not an incendiary comment in and of itself, I don't know what is.
Well, I mean, obviously, our hearts are heavy. It, is not like our hearts are ablaze with rage.
What are the circumstances? What happened here?
We've gone through that.
What happened here?
What happened?
No. You don't understand. It doesn't matter. We have our racial narrative all set up according to Obama and others.
We're not supposed to feel bad about that circumstance?
The fact that this could happen, even as the city of Minneapolis is going through the trial of Derek Chauvin and reliving the heart-wrenching murder of George Floyd, indicates not just how important it is to conduct a full and transparent investigation.
Oh, sorry, Mark. He just took a giant shit on your entire narrative. Full and transparent investigation. Ouch.
But also just how badly we need to re-image policing and...
Re-image? Re-image. Grown man.
Public safety in this country.
You're highlighting it. You can't fuck up reading it when you're highlighting it. When I'm blazing through an entire article and jump reading, that's one thing. But you picked this out. As a matter of fact, you could have voiced over and fixed this part. Re-image.
I've told you before, in my research of Marxism and critical race theory, the word reimagine shows up everywhere.
Oh my God. Does it not show up in other areas? has anybody ever used reimagine and not dealt with Marxism and critical race theory? And reimagine seems to be like, we're used to a certain way. Is there a better way that we could think about?
Everywhere. That word has meaning.
Yes, it does. Yes, most words do. I mean, many of them don't have the meaning that you think they do.
Reimagine means destroy.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. Guys, for those of you that are making your own home dictionary, reimagine means destroy. All right. Reimagine means destroy. Is it guys with heads shaped like this today? Is that the problem? Reimagine means destroy. No wonder this asshole wakes up in flop sweat every morning.
Destroy. I have a different idea. Why don't we reimagine the criminals?
Can we do that? Let's imagine them being like old school hooligans from a Mary Poppins movie.
Why don't we reimagine people going to prison for committing crimes?
Sure. How? How about, here's a good one. Let's do that. As a matter of fact, I think we have done that, which is why waste prison space on people who are being busted for having a personal use amount of pot, for example, when incarcerating them and putting them through the legal system costs as much money as having a new teacher added to the rolls every fucking year and doesn't benefit society at all because the person is not dangerous or a drag on society, and many times they're maintenance users. How about that? How about when you have somebody like Matt Gaetz, who's got multiple DUIs that could have resulted in the death of people? They take up those jail cells instead of people who are smoking weed at home or walking with weed in their pocket. And again, I know you want me to be the lefty bad guy, but I don't do any of that shit. I don't even drink.
Why don't we reimagine doing away with so-called bail reform that lets people out the back door?
You mean like Kyle Rittenhouse?
All kinds of reimagining that I want to do.
All right, well, let's hear it. Bring it up.
Why don't we leave the cops alone?
Well, I mean, obviously, because we left them alone, more of them would mistake their taser for their gun.
You have a bad cop, you focus on that cop, but you're destroying law enforcement. There's a reason.
No, I'm not.
Why you go.
I'm protecting law enforcement.
Go into these cities at night and they're ghost towns. Nobody wants to come out. They're scared.
It's COVID. What the fuck do you mean ghost towns?
They're scared. This is a
of getting COVID.
Marxist movement with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. There's a criminal element in the street who's also joining in. They think this is really cool. And then there are
they think it's groovy, man.
Millennials who are brainwashed.
Oh God, millennials! I know the streets are just like all these rambunctious millennials. You got like every time, like there's always some kid in an alley with a switchblade and some avocado toast. It's a fucking nightmare. Millennials?
When they go to college and universities by Marxists and others with critical race theory and critical theory generally.
Yeah, just critical theory. Just criticism is the wrong thing. We shouldn't criticize anything except criminal criticalizations. What?
And that's what we're up against. The Democrats.
It is what you're up against. You're up against a lighting guy who hates you.
The Democrat Party has basically used these events to advance itself.
Use these events to advance itself. So the Republican Party are using these events to... All right.
You'll notice that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have not condemned any of this. They haven't.
What part are they supposed to condemn? Which part are they supposed to condemn? The feelings people have about the killing of Daunte Wright?
Condemn what's going on in the streets. They don't condemn the riots.
Yes, they do. They literally do.
You know, last summer, people were begging Joe Biden, are you going to condemn this? You're going to condemn this? While his would-be running mate is contributing to a group that provides bail to rioters.
For protesters, not rioters. People who were scooped up with the rioters who are just protesters.
Fighters. And they're not the only ones. So they want a virtue signal. They want the support of these people.
Yeah, Marxist virtue signaling.
It's probably part of the Democrat Party base.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, I think so. Hal, she knew the difference, just in my opinion. I believe she's guilty. I hate to admit that. We are taught to have a dominant hand. Chicago's finest. That would amaze me if she just said taser, 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 and shot the guy as a way to cover. That's next level. I think she knew the difference normally, and that's where she went, oh my God. But I think in the moment she was unprepared for that circumstance. And like I said, there's absolutely a reasoning that the racial component might have been why she reacted the way she did. And as Chicago's finest, you may be just too fine to compare yourself to Minnesota's not finest.
And I thought when Joe Biden won and Donald Trump left, all this would stop, Mr. Executive Producer. But
oh, Mr. Executive Producer. Oh, Mr. Producer's gone? Who's your executive producer? I heard them rumble.
None of it stops. Because...
Sorry, it's supposed to stop. What do you mean it's supposed to stop? Which part? Because Biden gets elected, the Chauvins of the world stand down? There's an argument for why they would be more aggressive.
The goal is to overthrow the country. You got to attack the first line of defense.
Is it? And we're doing that by criticizing cops that shoot people? What was the attack? Did somebody sneak up behind her and swap her taser and her gun in her holster?
And the second line of defense is you and your Second Amendment.
Wow. There aren't that many. I would have thought there were more lines. Why am I the second line of defense? Why is the average citizen the second line of defense?
That's it. There's nothing else behind it. This is an outrageous statement by Obama. Again, he brings up George Floyd. What does this have to do with the George Floyd situation?
It's fucking blocks away, dipshit. It literally is happening at the same time in the city. It's the same area. It's overlapping districts. What do you mean, who has it? Oh,
absolutely nothing. He says, Michelle and I grieve alongside the Wright family for their loss. We empathize with the pain that black mothers, fathers, and children are feeling after yet another senseless tragedy. Again, he makes it sound like this police officer shot Mr. Wright for the purpose of killing him.
No. That kind of a tragedy would have some kind of sense. See, dummy? There would be a sense to that. You would get a sense that that person is a racist who chose to murder someone. A senseless tragedy is the kind of phrase you use when you're talking about somebody who's run over by a car or falls off a cliff or, is waiting to catch a fly ball, reaches over to get their beer and has their head caved in by a rocket from center field. Senseless. If someone does something for a racist motivation, you have a sense of why they did it. It seems to me, in his description, hey, look at that. Oh, a 01 hoodie. Thanks. If a senseless tragedy, it seems to say that they are believing what she said, that she did not mean to do this. Senseless tragedy.
No, those aren't the facts in the least.
So it was a senseful tragedy?
He saw the video, we all saw the video. And bring about nationwide changes.
So it wasn't senseless. Basically, Levin's saying the kid had it coming.
That are so long overdue. I have a question. What are the changes?
I just suggested one. Baton-shaped stun guns as opposed to gun-shaped stun guns. More training. More non-lethal means available to police in tiered in their training or whatever. Other options, for example, like when you're dealing with someone in a vehicle and you find out that they have a warrant and you've stepped them out of the car, that say one of the other cops puts a spike strip in front of the car while you're putting them down, lays a spike strip or something like that. That way, if they jump in and drive, try to drive away, you don't have to go, they're getting away. You just go, that won't last very long. See that reimagining doesn't mean destroy? Are there other non-lethal means that cops can have that can help take down a suspect that don't require them to shoot them? Ones that don't have blowback, like friggin' pepper spray and the like.
This is an accident. It's a tragedy. What are the changes exactly?
I told you. I swear to God. Dude, this could not be simpler. Don't have stun guns shaped like guns. Have them shaped like flashlights so that they have a small flashlight on them anyways for when they're in a dark situation and they come across a suspect, they can like that. And if the person obviously has a gun or is still moving or is racked up on PCP and decides to open fire or whatever, they can follow up by shooting if they need to protect themselves and others. But the primary thing would be that they could, this would help.
What are the changes? The fact is...
Yeah, spike strips are different from shooting tires. Yes, because a spike strip wouldn't careen off the asphalt and fly through a window.
You have an individual who's violent, an individual who possesses an unregistered gun. Nobody knows if it was on him or not.
Well, apparently it wasn't. They haven't reported that it was in the vehicle. You don't know that, but nice to name that he had a gun reference before, which is, by the way, why she felt the need to tase him, why he felt the need to run. I don't know where the fuck this dude thought he was going.
We still don't know what was in that car. I have no idea, but nobody knows. Yes. Police are doing their job, and the officer makes a tragic mistake. But if that individual hadn't been a criminal, if he didn't try and rob a woman violently, aggravated assault, if he didn't have an unregistered weapon...
He wasn't doing that at the time. If you're in a court of law, they can't bring up another charge you had against you about this, whatever you're being tried on. You were tried on the facts of the case in front of you, not the other shit. And when you're dealing with policing, they're going to be thinking about this kind of stuff, and that's exactly what I'm saying. By him diving in the car, he deserved to be tased. He might have even found his gun and ended up getting shot. But in this particular instance, her problem was she made a fatal mistake. And this is unfortunately a fatal mistake she could have made with just about anybody who twitched wrong for her in this particular circumstance. In this case, it was a guy trying to dive into his car. In another case, it could have just been somebody reaching for their license in the glove box, and it made her nervous, and she would taser, and shot that person. It's about bad policing in this case.
If he had an up-to-date...
Why wasn't Duante's warrant pursued in other ways? It was. That's how they found him.
License on his vehicle. If he had resisted arrest, none of this would have happened.
Thanks so much.
None of this would have happened, Mr. Obama. So they grieve alongside the Wright family. We empathize with the pain that...
Yeah, the kid was straightening his shit out. He had a live warrant, but he was in contact with his family. He was not just kind of a rando gangbanger.
Black mothers, fathers, and children are feeling
that I know of.
Yet another senseless tragedy. We will continue to work with all fair-minded Americans to confront historical inequities. What does this have to do with historical inequities?
Okay. One, that the Wright family might live in an area where it is artificially impoverished through generations of redlining that made the entire neighborhood poor and made it harder for them to get loans, get jobs, get education. And over time, while some people managed to get out, the vast majority of people are still skating uphill against this kind of thing. And in his particular instance, over the last couple of decades, beyond the fact that these are the kind of neighborhoods that have lead in the paint and lead in the water, and all kinds of other drug issues in the area that the kid is raised around and been around, and that he mixes with people that your kid will never bump into even on accident in line somewhere, that over time that creates a layer on his existence that would make a really good argument for why, like, an A student from whatever school he went to that tries to get into Harvard versus a kid who went to whatever place, if I don't know if Mark Levin has kids, I assume he does. If your kids went to a rich high school, that this kid worked way harder because he had to go through metal detectors in and out. There was gang activity and drugs all around him, and he still managed to get an A. That kid actually is worth more than you paying for an SAT tutor, because they managed to create genius, against all odds. See how it's not, see how you have this and they have this, and that even when it all rises up, like during, Trump's whole black unemployment is down. Yeah, but it never squashed to get closer to white and Asian unemployment.
Nothing.
I'm gonna go, if you use the Bongino standard, I don't know that you're the dude to talk about race, maybe any more than I am. But at least I'm doing it from an understanding of misunderstanding.
So now he's taking up the cause, you see, Obama.
He is the cause. He is the cause. He is. He's a poor kid, black, like half black, who was raised in a circumstance not all that different, except by generation, from what these kids are going through. And he made it to the presidency. And you can't even make it to a well-lit studio.
These individuals, Obama, he's not the only one.
He's not an individual. He's a former president. 8 years. He got reelected.
Leftists who make millions and millions and millions of dollars. This is their way of saying, as Shelby Steele said Sunday on my Fox show, I'm righteous.
No, I think they might actually be righteous.
I'm moral.
I think he actually is a moral dude. I mean, granted, you think the sun shines out of Trump's ass, and he's, as the song says, has 3 wives and wants to fuck his daughter.
I'm better than you.
He is better than you. I mean, he's not. Maybe he's not better than everybody, but Mark, he's better than you.
You, on the other hand, you cops, you are not.
No, I don't think he was talking about cops.
You're bigots and you're racist. I, on the other hand, I am righteous. I'm a terrific human being.
He's a terrific human being. I will give him that.
I am moral. You're the opposite of everything that I am.
The opposite, is it really? Because if you're a moral person, you're great. You're a terrific person. And the opposite of what you are would be absolute bottom, the devil incarnate in a lot of ways. And in those, I don't know that you would ask for a fair and transparent judicial process for Satan incarnate.
And then he goes off to Martha's Vineyard and his other mansions and estates.
Hey, still jealous, Mark?
Like he's accomplished something. He's accomplished.
Like he's accomplished something. He was elected president twice. You dizzy fuck.
Accomplished nothing.
For all this,
He's accomplished nothing. Barack Obama is the first black president of the United States of America, a country that Mark Levin believes is the greatest country on earth. Barack Obama became the president twice. And according to Mark Levin, Obama has accomplished nothing. And what has Mark Levin accomplished? An absolute lack of backlighting, even though his executive producer's there. Mark, why is your American flag in total darkness? Is this a comment on the Biden presidency? There will be no light, Mr. Producer. Jesus.